Welcome to week 10. This week 10 is a week that comes closer to the end. And this session is dedicated to theory. So, this is a theory session of week 10. We're gonna look at the logos of Heraclitus. Okay, I also find the reading for this week theory session below. These are about 100 sentences, a little bit more, 100 sentences of Heraclitus. I'd like you to go through the experience of reading the fragments collected from Heraclitus and just read them. Just read them, let them wash over you, think what you think about them, and just go through that, right? After that, you come back to here and we will go through them again. Okay, so again, I will talk through them. We will maybe here and there I will add a comment to the sentences, and that should give you stuff to think about. And then for next week's, we do a full-on clash of Parmenides, Heraclitus, Socrates, everything we learned so far, mythos, epos, and logos, that it all makes click, But I'd really like you to have the experience of freshly looking at the word of Heraclitus without big comment, without being embedded in some sort of lecture that already takes it away in a certain interpretation. Okay, so this is Heraclitus. Okay, so let's have it. Let's have it. The logos of Heraclitus. Okay, so why do they call it like that? Logos is an ancient Greek word for word. There's logos. When people talk about logos, it's a Greek word for word. Like epos. Epos is an ancient Greek word for word. Like mythos. Epos and logos are 3 words for word. But each of those words has particular meaning attached to it. We can translate. Logos is a very important word because you will find it at the end of very important words like biology. Logy comes from logos. Archaeology, psychology, physiology, psychophysiology, cosmology, ontology, epistemology, methodology. All those words mean, it means something like study. It's this epistemology is the study of episteme, of understanding. Ontology is the study of being. Methodology is the study of methods. Biology is the study of life. So logy, super important word. It's the study. Logology is the study of study. Theology is the study of God. So logos is a very important word. We can translate it as logic. Okay, so in English, the word logic. In logic, still the ancient Greek word logos still lives. So we can stick to logic. Heraclitus is a very enigmatic figure. Why? Because he is called the enigmatic. Enigmatic means riddler. He's a very mysterious riddler. He's called the riddler because he speaks in riddles that are even for those who can speak ancient Greek and who lived to the time that Heraclitus was alive or around that and had his works in front of them, the complete works. Even for those people, he was a riddler. He was obscure. He's called the obscure because he talks in so stark, difficult to understanding words. And therefore, his word, his logos, and what his logos means is one of the greatest riddles that you can come across in philosophy, because he's called a riddler. he wrote a Bible. So Bible is just a word for book, and because Bible, that was a biblios, that was a biblion, that was a place where books got this transcribed from Egyptian into Greek, and so anything that is a book is a Bible. Okay, so Heraclitus wrote a Bible. Usually, the Bible looked like a wooden log, and around that was wrapped around pieces of paper, pieces of papyrus, and on those were scratched words. He wrote a scroll and put it into the temple of Artemis. That's one of the ancient world wonders, placed in today's Turkey. It was a big temple where the goddess Artemis was worshipped. And in there he put this Bible scroll, and it was kind of like a public library, and people can go there and read the books that are in there. We started transcribing those books, making copies, and that's how it spread into the world. And Heraclitus got very famous among the philosophers to that time. He got also very famous among all the important philosophers, from up to Hegel. Hegel says, Heraclitus, there's not one sentence from Heraclitus that I did not include into my logic. Nietzsche, one of the super important philosophers, says, there's no one else with whom I feel so much at home as with Heraclitus. Heidegger, also one of the super important philosophers, says Heraclitus is not dark one, the obscure one. He is the illuminated one. He is the enlightened one. So all very important philosophers all agree that Heraclitus is a sound thinker, but they disagree about what the word of Heraclitus, the logic of Heraclitus, really means. All of those very important philosophers had very different opinions about Heraclitus. So we will dive into that. We will dive into the confusion about, what the hell is Heraclitus talking about? What's Heraclitus talking about? And we do that by looking at one book by so the way how it works, it's the same way also it works with Heraclitus as well as with Parmenides. They wrote one original book centuries ago, about 2,500 years ago. And this original book got lost. But we still have parts of these books because other people started quoting them. So Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and many others started quoting their books. And through their quotations, we put them together, we compare them with each other, and say, yeah, they kind of mean the same. Okay, so, yeah, right, okay, here, put them together. We have them, okay? And there are people that pull together all these references that are spread across the history of philosophy, pull them apart, and make a little connections, put those fragments together. So one of these catalog is The Art and Thought of Heraclitus by Charles H. Kahn. Okay, so this is one good collection. And let's go through those fragments. So the order of those fragments, let's talk about this order of these fragments, are based upon the different kind of how they can order those fragments. But the standard order of those fragments is based upon the name of who was quoting Heraclitus. So people starting with A, their quotes come first, and so on. So there's the alphabetical order of the names of those that quote Heraclitus. That's the arrangement of those fragments, a very standard arrangement of those fragments. Okay, this is why we have them in this order. It doesn't mean that's the order how they were put into the book. But what we need to say is what people noted is that this book of Heraclitus was one that had those fragments very scattered. So there has never been a very big, long story that was told by Heraclitus, not like Parmenides. Parmenides talks one big, long story. Heraclitus talks very short, micro riddles, one after another. And yep, so let's go. First fragment. Although this account, so here's logos translated with account. I will stick to logos. I will translate it as logic, okay? So, although this logic holds forever, man ever failed to comprehend, both before hearing it and once they have heard. Although all things come to pass in accordance with this logic, men are like untried when they try such words and works as I set forth, distinguishing each according to its nature and telling how it is. But other men are oblivious of what they do awake, just as they are forgetful of what they do asleep. Okay, let's repeat some parts. Okay, so this logic is forever. Yeah, although this logic is forever, humans don't get it. Yeah, both before hearing it and once they've heard it. So even if they are told, they don't hear it. Okay, so this is a joke. Heraclitus is a joker. He tells jokes. Here's the next joke. Although everything, all the things come to pass, go about, generate, in agreement with logic, humans are like unexperienced when they try to experience what I'm talking about. Okay? Here's another. So humans are like the untried when they try. They're like they experience less when they experience. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So those people, those humans, are oblivious of the obvious. They are forgetful. They don't get what they do awake, just as they are forgetful of what they do asleep. Okay, so this is talking about waking up, awakening, and being a dream, asleep. This is about dreaming and reality. So next fragment. Not comprehending. They hear like the deaf. The saying is the witness, absent while present. These are two jokes. First joke is they don't get it. They are listening like people that cannot listen. Right? Because if you tell them the logic, they don't listen. They don't hear it. So it's a joke. Then the next joke. The following saying talks about them. They are absent while present. So they are here like they are not here. It's a joke. You cannot hear without being here. Okay? Like when I listen to something and don't listen to it, I'm like here without really being here. You know, I'm like awake like being asleep. What are you talking about? Hey, I'm trying to talk about logic. I'm listening. Well, I'm telling you the logic. I'm not listening. Okay, so this is a joke. Just jokes. Although the logic is shared, it's common. You know, it's all have it. Although this logic is common, most humans live as though their thinking are private possession. You know, even though this logic is truly common sense, all the humans do pretend like they have a sense of their own. You know, although this logic is common sense, people think their sense is uncommon. Although this logic is common sense, the common sense of people is nonsense. Okay, it's just jokes. Most people, most humans do not think things in the way they encounter them, nor do they recognize what they experience, but they believe their own opinions. Right? People being awake like they are asleep, they don't face the fact. They don't take in the truth, logic. They don't tap into their experience, but they just believe the opinions. They just dreams. Okay, because they are absently present. Yeah, they are awake like they are asleep. Good morning. The truth is knocking. Okay, next. When here something is in brackets, it means like we are not sure if it is really from Heraclitus. Okay. So I'm sometimes maybe skip those. Okay, when I think it's not really important. This is very important. The world, koinon, cosmos, enai. Okay, so this is cosmos. The cosmos of the waking is one and shared, but the sleeping turn aside each into their private world. It's again, although the logic is common, all act like if they have their own logic. Same is here. Same pattern is followed with this fragment. Although the cosmos of those that are awake is one and common, those that are absently present, those that are awake like they are asleep, have their own private cosmos. You know, like when you are awake, if you're awake and I am awake, we have the same world. Hello, right? We are on the same world. We are inside the same world. We share one and the same world, you and me. If you're awake and I'm awake, we share the same world, right? But if I fall asleep, I come up with my own world. You know, I have a dream world. Yeah, he's like, oh, chocolate. I love chocolate. Oh, donut. Donut. I want to eat a donut. You know, I don't share anymore the same world. I fall into my own dream world. So dream worlds are individual. So I have my own dream world. You have your own dream world. But reality, the cosmos, is one, common one. Okay. So next one. He who does not accept, he who does not expect will not find out the unexpected, for it is trackless and unexplored. Next, seekers of gold dig up much earth and find little. Okay, that means a real treasure, something that has a really great value, is rare. You don't find much of it. You know, this is unique. It's only it exists only once, like reality. Reality, the cosmos, the cosmic reality exists only once. So it's rare, you know. But that it has not much worth, there's a lot of that. You know, the shitty, dirty stuff, there's a lot of that. And there's little value of that. Okay, so if you want to look for the rare gold and you look for it, you will find a lot of dirty little things. So this talks about philosophy. Friends, spouses, husbands, to the love of wisdom must be good inquirers into many things indeed. This is not flattering, you know. This is philosopher means a friend of wisdom, a lover of wisdom. So who loves wisdom? These are philosophers. Must be good inquirers into many things indeed. So what we just talked about is if you like many things, you like many dirty, worthless things. Because the gold is rare. Like reality is one singularity. It's one. common reality. That's the world. So it's rare. So if you're a philosopher and you like to talk about this and that and that and that, you're talking dirty, worthless, blah blah blah. Nature loves to hide. Originally, this means physis cryptestai philae. This is, when we translate it literally, it is physis, the physique, the physics, the physical. This is a word for reality. It's also a word for nature. Nature, the natural, the physical, natural reality. Physis, the physique. Physique loves, philae, likes, to be hidden. That's the passive, medio-passive of cryptestai. It literally means physique likes to be cryptic. Yeah, this is the crypt, the hole, the cave. So it loves to conceal itself. It loves to hide. But where does it hide? Where does reality hide? Okay, maybe we find it out. We keep that in our head. Let us not concur casually about the most important matters. Okay, so you need to take it serious. Cannot talk about reality and say, look, blah, blah, blah. You gotta be serious about reality. You be spot on reality. Okay, so we should not listen like children to their parents. I'll leave it like it is. Whatever comes from sight, hearing, learning, from experience, this I prefer. So Heraclitus honors sense. Heraclitus doesn't say sense cannot be trusted. He says, sense can't be trusted if you do it properly. If you are awake like somebody who is awake and not like somebody who's asleep, then you can trust your sense. You can trust sight, hearing, learning from experience. I prefer and honor that. Eyes and ears are poor witnesses. Eyes and ears are poor witnesses for man if their souls do not understand the language. Right? You can trust your senses, but you cannot trust your senses if you are awake, like you're being asleep, or if your psyche, soul, does not understand logic. So let's find the original. So originally it says bad kakoi, meteors, the human ears and human ears and eyes are bad witnesses if their soul, their psyche are barbaric. This means like a barbaric person is somebody who's not from your own culture. Okay, this is when the ancient Greek hears someone who speaks not ancient Greek, they hear ba 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 ba, and that's why they call them barbaric, because they don't understand the language. Okay, so if you have a barbaric soul, it means not that you have poor manners. It means that the language that you're speaking is not a common language. So if I'm a barbar, I now start suddenly speaking ancient Greek to you, or I start speaking German. Hallo, wie geht es dir? Ich möchte etwas reden, ich möchte über die Philosophie reden. This is barbaric behavior. You could say, no, it's very cultured. You can speak in a very different language. No. It's a barbaric thing, because only what you understand when I talk in German is just ba 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 ba. So if I want to make myself a good witness of experience, I speak in languages that we two share. Okay, not knowing how to listen, neither can they speak. Okay, this is about humans that are awake like they're asleep because they are not paying attention, focusing on the senses. They don't exert their senses. They don't know how to listen, and neither can they speak if they're absently present. Much learning does not teach understanding. That's a big one. For it would have taught Hesiod and Pythagoras and also Xenophanes and Hecataeus. These are ancient Greek philosophers, poets that Heraclitus says, they learned a lot, but learning a lot doesn't teach you understanding. Why? Because gold is rare. Reality is one rare, precious gold piece. Okay, it's not a lot. Reality is not a lot. Reality is not a lot of things. It's just one. So if you don't understand a lot of things, as you understand dirty, non-valuable stuff. Let's find out the Greek for that. Polymathin nun u didaskai. So nus, this is mind, and polymathin is polymatics. So this is much learning, much math. A lot of mathematics does not teach mind. So literally translated, it's much math does not teach mind. Much learning, math is a Greek for learning. A lot of learning, a lot of studying does not teach mind. Okay? And mind can be translated as understanding also. So the teacher of most is Hesiod, the ancient Greek poet. It is him that they know as knowing most, who did not recognize day and night. They are one. Okay, so with Heraclitus, you don't need to understand a lot of things. Because if you understand a lot of things, you understand garbage. You understand stuff. This and that and those and that, and it's all garbage, worthless things. Why? Because reality is not a lot of things. Reality is only one. The cosmos, nature is only one. So you need only understand this one to understand. So if you are the teacher of a many, if the many know this one teacher as knowing a lot of or the most things, then we gotta doubt that this one did even recognize day and night, light and night, light and shadow, absence and present, for they are all one. Why they are one? Because reality is one. Because there's only one cosmos. In reality, all is reality. Simple. That's the same version. Homer is another Greek poet. Deserves to be expelled from the competition and beaten with the staff. And Archilochus too. I maybe explain that in the next week. Why? Because Homer was like Hesiod, somebody who knew a lot of things. Okay. This is a very good one. We will spend a lot of time with that next week. Humans are deceived in the recognition of what is obvious. Like Homer, who was the wisest of all Greeks. For he was deceived by boys killing lice, who said, "What we see and catch, we leave behind. What we neither see nor catch, we carry away." Okay, this is a very hardcore riddle. This is This now you understand why Heraclitus is called the Riddler, because Heraclitus talks in riddles. And this riddle, you may think it talks about killing lies, but it actually talks about the secret of how to find out what reality really means. We talk about that more next week, but think about that. What we see and catch, we leave behind. What we neither see nor catch, we carry away. And you would think the answer is killing lies, because the Riddler tells us the answer before he tells us the riddle. And maybe this is as deceiving for us as all humans are deceived by apparent knowing, by the recognition, by the knowing of opinions, belief. I believe the answer to the riddle is I'm free of lies, because if I can see it and catch it, I can get rid of all the lies. And then after that, if I cannot see it and cannot catch it, what I carry away with me is being free of lies, or at least those lies I cannot see. Maybe I have some lies hidden, but I'm kind of free of lies. But this is not the real answer. Okay? What I see and catch, I leave behind. What I neither see nor catch, this is what I get. What is the answer to that? The answer is the secret of what reality really means. Again, Pythagoras was a very important ancient Greek philosopher. Pursued inquiry further than all other men, and choosing what he liked from these compositions, made a wisdom of his own, much learning, artful knavery. This is deception. Much bad kakoteknin. This means like fakery. So skillful, craftful, artful forgery. Why? Because much learning does not teach mind. Much learning does not teach understanding. So you maybe have a lot of things that you researched. Maybe you researched more things than any human ever researched. But this doesn't help you in understanding, because you only need to understand one. Not a lot, only one. This is how to understand. If you understand to understand, you understand. Don't understand to understand, and only understand things, then you may consider yourself being deceived of apparent knowing. Okay, let's go on. Yeah, all of those whose logoi, whose logical words I have heard, none has gone so far as this, to recognize what is wise and apart from all. Logos. This is it's a plural of logos, logos, and it's so it's a plural of logos. Okay, all whose logoses, it's plural, logical words I have heard, none of them figured out, understand, recognize what is sophisticated, sophon, wise, philosophy, sophon, what is wise, and is kexoristomen, kexorismenon, pantheon, is clear of, is spaced of all, everything. Okay, so why is that? Because the logos talks about only one reality. So if you talk a lot of words, then you don't get it that reality is not everything. It is apart from everything. It's not a lot of things. It's just one. So it's a part of all. It's empty. It's clear of everything, of all things. So he next, I went in search of myself. Heraclitus wanted to understand, who am I? Where am I? Where am I? So Heraclitus went looking for himself. Heraclitus says it belongs to all humans to know themselves and to think well. Know themselves is on the Delphic oracle, very famous. There was an oracle in ancient Greek. An oracle is a sacred site where you go and you ask a medium to tell you something truthfully. And on the gate into there was a very important inscription that said, Knoti Sauton, know thyself, know yourself. And this is the first reference to this saying that we have in literature. So Heraclitus was the first one who references that. So Heraclitus says, Heraclitus does not say, all humans, they don't get it, forget about them. No. He says that it belongs, it's part. It is metasti. It is in the middle of every anthropoise. If it is in the middle, mid-center, in the middle, being in the middle of every human is knowing themselves and to think soundly. Sophronein. Sophronein. Phrein means brain. So sound. To sound, to think sound-mindedly, to think soundly. Okay, that's part, belongs to everyone. Okay, so Heraclitus doesn't say, humans don't get it. Of course they get it. They already have it. They overhear it. They pretend they don't know it, but they know. Speaking with understanding, they must hold fast to what is shared by all, as a city holds to its law, and even more firmly, for all human laws are nourished by the Divine One. It prevails as it will and suffices for all, and is more than enough. Okay? So all divine laws, all divine logic, all mortal human logic, it's fueled, it's nourished, it's generated by the Divine One, singular. Thinking is shared by all. Let's find that. Pronoun, sense, brain. Braining is in sync with everyone. Thinking, sensing is common to all. There's only one brain. One brain. You don't have your own brain. I don't have my own brain. I dream I have our own brain. You dream that you have our own brain. But really, the cosmos has only one brain. Thinking well is the greatest excellence and wisdom, to act and speak what is true, perceiving things according to the nature. Sophrenin, sound thinking is the greatest excellence and wisdom, to act and speak what is true, perceiving things according to their physis, according to their physin, to their nature. The Lord, whose oracle is in Delphi, this talks about the Delphic oracle and who is the Lord of it, neither declares nor conceals, but gives a sign. It's a very difficult one to understand, but it's very easy. Okay, so Yeah, let's wash it over. We will come to it next week. So also, like in the Delphic Oracle, so you go in the Delphic Oracle and say, I want to speak with somebody to tell me, give me advice, to tell me about the truth, to tell me about my future, whatever. And in there, the person that does that is called the Sibyl. The Sibyl. It's the sign of the will of God. So there's a woman that talks as if in trance. And this woman is, also Heraclitus talks about this woman. The Sibyl with raving mouth utters things mirthless, unadorned, and unperfumed, with her voice carried through 1,000 years, because the God who speaks through her. Okay, so it's because of the God who speaks through the oracle. She's able to talk through time, future, past, and whatever. You will not find the limits of the soul by going, even if you travel over every way, so deep is its logic. Okay, where we go, the soul, the psyche, is boundless, is limitless, because you will not find any limit. Doesn't matter where you go. It's so deep, it's so vast. Its logic is so deep and so vast, you will not find a boundary of that. It is wise listening not to me, but to the Logos, to agree that all things are one. It is wise listening not to me, but to the Logos, to agree that all things are one. We will talk about this, is a very important sentence, and it's better translated like the following: Uk emu, not me, not me, alla tu logo, not uk emo alla tu logo. Acoustics, not to me, but listening to logic. Then it is wise to say equally, all is one. Right? The logic, the logos that is ever being, always talking, that humans only think that unheard, they pretend that unheard because they act like people awake that act like people awake that are asleep, that act like being absently present, joking. So if you listen to this logos, not to Heraclitus, not listening to me, don't listen to Heraclitus, but listening to the logos, then you gotta have to agree that all agrees. Because the cosmos is one common, shared, singular reality. If so, you can only agree, yeah, well, it's common, right? You and me, we share the same reality. It's the same world. We live in the same world. You don't live in your world, I don't live in my world. Therefore, all worlds are one world. One world. The ordering, the cosmos. The cosmos can be translated in many things, but cosmon ton auton hapanton utetis theon ute anthropon epoisin al ne ai kai estin kai estai pyr eison abdomenon metra kai aposmenumene metra. The cosmos ton auton hapanton. This cosmos, the same for all, common to everyone, this cosmos, the same for all, no God, neither a God nor a human made it. This cosmos was not created by no God and no human made it up. But it ever was, ever is, and ever will be ever living fire. Good morning, light, ever living light. Igniting, magically igniting, and magically extinguishing. Okay, you may see that it talks about a fire that flickers. It goes on and off, switches on and off. But maybe it flickers, it switches on and off magically the same. Okay, let's we talk about that next week. But yeah, take that in. Yeah, let's forget that. All things are requital for fire, and fire for all things, as goods for gold and gold for goods. All things are exchanged, can turn into fire, and fire into all things. All goods for gold and gold for goods. It talks about energy. Energy can transform into anything. So reality can form itself. So the cosmos is really fire. So fire is reality, and energy, if you think about it in that way, it can turn into anything. So you take energy and it materializes. So energy is matter, we know from Einstein. Reality can turn into anything. So energy turns into the matter that looks like this jug. Energy turns into something that looks like this book. The death of fire is birth for air, and the death of air is the birth for water. Think about that. Nope. The sun will not transgress her measures. If she does, the Furies, ministers of justice, will find her out. I'm not going into that. No, that's not interesting. Nope. The sun. Yeah, let's think about it. The sun is the size of a human foot. The sun is very big, and the human foot is very small, have the same size. How? Well, if there's only one cosmos, there can only be one size. Cold warms up, warm cools off, moist parches, dry dampens. Next one is a very famous one. So Heraclitus is mostly famous for this one sentence. So usually every philosopher, everyone who knows something about philosophy, they usually know this one sentence. As they step, as they walk, as they step into the same rivers, other and still other waters flow upon them. This talks about identity and change. So that the river, if you step into the river, nothing about the river and nothing about the person stepping into the river is the same. The river is never the same river. Everything about this river, everything about the step, everything about the stepping, everything about the stepper who steps into the river is changing. Because my body is all made of fluids. It never stops. So my bones, the hardest parts of my body, change. They fluctuate. Liquid. The things that are composing my bones, the calcium, the metals and minerals in my bones, these are arranging themselves constantly. Everything about my brain, my teeth, every part of everything in my body is like a river that does not stop moving. All this is full of liquids. The river itself moves constantly. Mountains are like a river. The hardest material you can find is in constant motion. Those molecules that make up everything are wobbling all the time. The things that are making up molecules, um, electrons, positrons, neutrons, are wobbling all the time. Everything that makes up electrons and quarks are wobbling all the time. Everything that makes up quarks are wobbling all the time. Everything that makes up what makes up quarks, which I don't know, I'm not following anymore. The strings, yeah, all like wobbling. Everything that is made up, all the things that are made up are wobbling, ceaseless. That means that there cannot be, you cannot find an identity. That is always the same, unchanging, you cannot find it. Why? Because even if you compare me with me, myself with myself, so right now, snapshots, and again right now, snapshots, and you compare those two snapshots, you overlay them, you see, yeah, it maybe looks like you're the same, but really if you look at your body, measure your temperature, your heartbeat, the skin color, the blood pressure, the heartbeat, your DNA, your gut microbiome, everything changes. There's no constant that you can find. Gravity, the speed of light, it may seem so, but it's all changing. So I do not have a stable identity. I cannot find a stable identity. Everything's changing. Everything that I can see and I can find is changing. So there cannot be a continuity of any sort. This is the most famous and biggest sentence we have in Heraclitus. And because all the things we find are fading, are decaying, are passing by, like bubbles on a stream, on a river. So bye bye, whoop, bye bye, whoop, bye bye. Impermanence. Okay? Only because I cannot find permanence does not mean there is no permanence. Just note that. This is another one. No. What width or understanding do they have? They believe the poets of the people and talk the mob as their teacher, not knowing that the many are worthless, good men are few. Oh, this is a very bad translation. This is a very bad translation. What is tis yap uton nus ei pren? What is with their mind or brain? Okay, so what's going on with their brains and minds? They believe those believable teachers. Not knowing few. Let me find that. Okay, ist pole kakoi utete agatoi. Not knowing uk eidotes eidotes. Not knowing that many is bad. few is good. Okay? Many is bad, few is good. Why? Because again, reality is only one, right? So all the things couldn't be real. So only one is good, many is not good. So it's again, you only need to understand one, not a lot of things. So if your teaching is very complex and you teach this, this, and this, and this, and this, and that, what are you talking about? It's all dirty, worthless things that float by. Where are we? Well, I forgot where we are. So the device is one. The wise, sophon, entosophon, hentosophon, hentosophon. The sophisticated philosophy, the wise, the sophisticated is one. Hen means one. It's one, knowing the plan by which it steers all things through all. Human nature has no set purpose, but the divine has. Ooh, that's also a bad translation. Ethos. Human have humans have no ethics, but the human ethics has no gnosis, no knowing, but the divine has. Yep, forget about that. We had that. A fool loves to get excited on any account. Dogs bark at those that you don't recognize. This is the same we had. In Pliny lived Bias, son of Teutames, who is of more account than the rest, of more logic than the other one. One man is 10,000 if he's the best. Let's go. Nope. It is law also to obey the counsel of one. It is law to obey only one. Why relatives one? Okay. The counter trust brings together, and from tones at variance comes perfect attunement, and all things come to pass through conflict. They do not comprehend how things agrees. They do not comprehend how a thing agrees at variance with itself. It is in attunement turning back on itself, like the bow and the lyre. The name of the bow is life, its work is death. The hidden attunement is better than the obvious one. Let's translate this better. The unapparent unapparent harmony is stronger than the apparent. The unapparent harmony is stronger than the apparent. It awaits humans at death. What awaits humans at death they do not expect nor even imagine. Corpses should be thrown out quicker than dung. Death is all things we see awake. All we see asleep is sleep. A human strikes a light for himself in the night. When his sight is quenched, living, he touches the dead in sleep. Waking, he touches the sleeper. Immortals are mortal, mortals immortal, living the other's death, dead in the other's life. The same living and dead, and the waking and the sleeping, and young and old, for these transposed are those, and those transposed are these. Okay? Mortal and immortal, life and death, living and dead, waking and sleeping, young and old, are the same. The best choose one thing in exchange for all, ever-flowing fame among mortals, but most men's have sated themselves like cattle. So the best, the fittest ones, choose one. Instead, the fittest ones choose one over everything. Ever-flowing glory among mortals. But most humans have stuffed themselves like asses. Once born, they want to live and have their portions, and they leave children behind born to become their dooms. The beginning and the end are shared in the circumference of a circle. Start and end of a circle are always the same. For souls, it is death become water. For water, it is death become earth. Out of earth, water rises. Out of water, soul. The way up and down is one and the same. Hodos anno kato mia kai ute. The way up and the way down is one and the same. One must quench violence quicker than a blazing fire. A man, when drunk, is led by a beardless boy, stumbling, not perceiving where it goes, having his soul moist. A human, a grown-up that is drunk, is led by an ungrown-up child, tumbling, not getting where it gets, having a wet psyche. A gleam of light is the dry soul, wisest and best. Dry. A dry soul is the most sophisticated and fittest. A dry, not a wet. Why? You know, if everything flows and everything is liquid, how could there be a dry soul? And why is that one the best? They are purified in vain with blood. They wash themselves with blood. Those polluted with blood, as if someone who stepped in mud would try to wash himself with mud. Anyone who noticed him doing this would think they were mad, and they pray to these images as they were chatting with houses, not recognizing what gods or even heroes are alike. Okay, this is how humans try to find God. They try to sacrifice, they try to purify and cut, release and cleanse themselves by sacrificing like animals, you know, bloodshed. Like you would wash yourself with mud to get rid of mud. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. Human practices do not make any sense. The thunderbolt pilots all things. The lightning bolt steers everything. How we will hide from what which never sets? How can one hide from what that never hides? It's a good one to think about this. And God is day and night, winter and summer, war and peace, satiety and hunger. It alters as when mingled with perfumes, it gets named according to the pleasure of each one. Okay. Contracts, wholes and not wholes, convergent, divergent, consonant, dissonant, from all things one, from all, and from one things all. Okay, so this is, I don't want to rob you the experience. You open up Heraclitus and you look at those scattered sentences that have seemingly no connection with each other. It's really like the fragmentary pinnacle of storytelling. It's storytelling that seems to be undisconnected. This doesn't have anything with that to do, And he is one example who tells a story, the story of how to come to grips with all this, through seemingly nonsense, seemingly rambling and rattling things that seemingly do not have any connection at all. And it's obscure. There seems to be contradiction in there, things that doesn't seem to make sense. And I think it's very important for you to have this experience, to opening up Heraclitus and just going through those sentences, without any big commentary. So it's good that you read those texts by yourself with one translation, and just we went also to another translation and looking at, just think about it in processes. Next week we will put it together. Next week we will speed up and heat up. This next week will very intense in terms of melting, making sense of the Socratics and letting them clash against Parmenides and Heraclitus, and letting that clash that into what storytelling should really be about. Okay, gonna be crazy, gonna be intense, gonna be amazing. Okay, thank you for your attention with this session. It's hardcore stuff. The stuff we talk here about, digital narration, particularly theory-wise, and how deep we go and how we're opening up and look at those ancient thinkers. It's very deep. So it's good on you that you stick to it. Okay, this is good stuff. Okay, thank you.